Humiliation and unhappiness filled Grace Kelly after her prince demanded this. At the age of 26, Hollywood starlet Grace Kelly forsook Tinseltown in favor of becoming Monaco's princess. Yet her marriage to Prince Rainier III was anything but a fairy tale. Reports allude to heated arguments and affairs that plagued their union. It seems then no surprise that she considered leaving him for Hollywood stardom once more. So what went wrong? By comparing the early lives of Kelly and Rainier, it's easy to see why their paths diverged. Born in November 1929, Grace Patricia Kelly was surrounded with wealth since birth. Her Irish-American father had created a successful brick company that made him millions, and he was also an Olympic gold medalist who won 3 medals, 2 during the 1920 Olympics and 1 more in 1924. On the other hand, Prince Rainier III grew up under much different circumstances. Margaret, Kelly's mother, had German roots, and before marrying John was an instructor of physical education at the University of Pennsylvania. However, other members from the father's side seem to have hinted at Kelly's future success in acting, as one uncle used to be a stage actor featured early in Hollywood films, while another served as a director and a screenwriter. Kelly was an ambitious youth, participating in school productions and her senior yearbook, affirming that she would one day become a renowned stage and screen actor. Undeterred by her father's disapproval of acting being akin to prostitution, Kelly pursued expressively with conviction, ultimately succeeding in the craft. At 19, Kelly proudly graduated from the prestigious American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. She then proceeded to take Broadway by storm with her considerable talent for theater acting. This progress naturally brought Hollywood knocking at her door. Her first movie role part was an iconic film noir called 14 Hours, released in 1951, and she's been making waves ever since. It was in 1952 that Kelly truly had her breakthrough moment when Stanley Kramer selected the actress to portray Gary Cooper's leading lady in the iconic Western High Noon. Following this success, she signed a 7-year contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer for an unprecedented salary of $850 per week. Some of her most noteworthy cinematic accomplishments during her time at MGM included Dial M for Murder and Rear Window, both released in 1954 under Alfred Hitchcock's direction. But then everything changed when Kelly's third movie with Hitchcock, 1955's To Catch a Thief, was released, which would be her last film. As the movie was shot in the south of France, she had been summoned to Monaco for a photo call with Prince Rainier on their first encounter. This came as a surprise, considering that at the time she was dating French actor and war hero Jean-Pierre Aumont. Despite all that, Kelly's introduction to Rainier ultimately resulted in romance and marriage, thus ending her acting days. But who was this prince that caused such a dramatic shift in her life? The illustrious Rainier Louis Henri Maxence Bertrand Grimaldi was born in Monaco's Prince's Palace in May of 1923 to the Duke and Duchess of Valentinois, His Highness Pierre and Her Royal Highness Charlotte. As Grand Duchess of Monegasque bloodlines, Charlotte made her only son heir to the throne. Rainier had a distinguished lineage that extended as far back as 1297, when one ancestor, Francois Grimaldi, nicknamed the Spiteful, seized control over these lands from the Genoese people. Rainier was sent to a couple of boarding schools in England during his childhood, with the first being at Summerfields in St. Leonard's-on-Sea, and the second at Stowe, situated in Buckinghamshire. As is characteristic of English schoolboys, Rainier's peers took it upon themselves to give him an unkind nickname, Fat Boy Monaco. This moniker highlights how casually cruel young boys can be as they attempt to establish their own place among established social hierarchies within educational institutions. Despite his royal obligations, Rainier didn't let that stop him from completing his studies in Switzerland and France. In 1943, he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Montpellier. The very next year, Charlotte gave up her right to be Monaco's successor and conferred it onto her son, thus making Rainier the principality's heir apparent. In 1944, Rainier joined the Free French Army and fought a brave guerrilla campaign against Nazi Germany during World War II. His courageous service was rewarded with the receipt of France's highest military honor, the Croix de Guerre. Ultimately, in 1949, he ascended to Monaco's throne as its ruler, an event that solidified him as one of Europe's most influential monarchs. Nevertheless, Prince Rainier's acquisition of sovereignty brought with it a host of issues. Monaco had relied heavily on the renowned casino before the war, but now there were plenty of gambling competitors in nearby France. Furthermore, many former high-rolling gamblers faced financial hardship after World War II ended. Desperate to generate a steady income, Prince Rainier created an ingenious plan: the transformation of Monaco into a tax haven. Attracted by this brilliant move was none other than Aristotle Onassis, who went on to marry Jackie Kennedy. He brought with him an equally cunning suggestion for the prince: seek out and wed Hollywood's most beautiful actress. This innovative strategy would bring immense wealth and fame to Monaco. It was thought by Onassis that the worldwide attention would put Monaco on the world stage, creating ample foreign investment and bringing in a rise in tourists. In the hunt for a suitable star to marry Prince Rainier, even Marilyn Monroe was considered. The glamorous actress is said to have responded arrogantly with her usual self-confidence: "Give me 2 days alone with him and he'll definitely want to wed me." This anecdote was referenced in an obituary of Rainier that appeared in UK's The Daily Telegraph in April 2005, surely painting a very different picture than what we may have expected. Consequently, just 3 days after Rainier's visit to Pennsylvania in 1955, he proposed to Grace Kelly. The pair arranged a wedding date for April 1956, and it seemed as though the only outstanding detail was their finances. Allegedly, this boiled down to how much money Kelly would bring into the marriage, an understandably sensitive subject that her wealthy father strongly refuted. "My daughter doesn't have to pay any man to marry her," according to the Daily Telegraph obituary noted. Amidst rumors of excessive spending, the two parties eventually settled on a dowry figure of $2 million. Although whether that much was spent on an elaborately luxurious wedding remains uncertain. Kelly and her family did, unsurprisingly, arrive in Monaco aboard the SS Constitution, accompanied by 80 pieces of baggage, not to mention Oliver, Kelly's pet poodle. A Boston Globe reporter noted this momentous occasion with awe. "Never have so many women brought so much luggage to such a small country for so few days." The female members of Kelly's party had the unique task of planning for 2 weddings, one civil ceremony on April 18th, and a more intimate religious celebration just 1 day later. A total of 3,000 guests gathered to celebrate at the first wedding reception, while only 700 attended its sequel. However, this second guest list ran like that of Hollywood royalty, with names such as Ava Gardner and Cary Grant attending. After being married for 26 years, the jury is still out on whether or not Prince Rainier and his princess ever experienced true happiness. The celebrity biographer Wendy Lee has claimed that Kelly's royal marriage was nothing more than a gilded prison for her. In 2007, after the release of True Grace, Lee's book, she spoke to UK's Daily Mail about stating, "Grace felt insulted and deeply unhappy, surrounded by opulence, yet kept in captivity with Rainier's unsavory friends." In contrast, many can claim that Rainier and his wife were contentedly married. The couple even had 3 children: Princess Caroline, Princess Stephanie, and Prince Albert II. While Kelly occupied herself with philanthropy, this strategy of utilizing a Hollywood marriage as a way to boost Monaco's profile was remarkably successful, and it estimated that around 30 million viewers across the world watched the royal wedding on television live. Without a doubt, the marriage of Princess Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III ended sadly in an accident. On September 13, 1982, while driving her daughter, Stephanie, back to Monaco after a brief holiday at their French home, the princess experienced a minor stroke that caused their car to plummet 120 feet off a cliffside road. Fortunately, Stephanie recovered from her injuries, but unfortunately, Princess Grace passed away at the age 52 on the following day. Nearly 23 years after his marriage to Grace Kelly, Prince Rainier passed away at the ripe age of 81. During the 56 years he had commanded Monaco with an iron fist, he was never one to reveal why precisely he insisted on a substantial dowry before their union, and this truth stayed buried alongside him when, in April 2005, they were both laid to rest side to side.